The future of our rotation and the fate of this season are being decided right now. I'm talking about a developing phenomenon and a high-impact trade that are connected. To understand how these two moves fit together, the only way is by hitting subscribe. Do it now! The video starts with a quick, energetic intro with the channel's logo and theme music. The camera cuts to me, the host, sitting in a Brewers-themed studio, perhaps wearing a team jersey and cap. The tone is serious but filled with passion and urgency. Hello, Brew Crew, and welcome back to your #1 source for Milwaukee Brewers news. Before we dive into the exclusive information I have for you today, I need you to do one thing for me and for yourselves. If you want the fastest analysis, the most in-depth information, and the scoops you won't find anywhere else, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. The season is heating up and things are moving fast. You don't want to be left behind. Trust me. Done? Great. Because what I have to discuss today is something that made me stop and think, wait a minute, I've seen this before. It's a sense of deja vu that's running through the halls of American Family Field. And it all revolves around a young pitcher who might just be the mirror image of one of our most electric talents. Let's get right into it. The question that everyone in the organization's hallways is whispering, and which I'm now bringing to you first, is this. Has lightning struck twice in Milwaukee? Have we, the Milwaukee Brewers, found a clone of Jacob Misiorowski? Yes, you heard that right. It seems a Jacob Misiorowski 2.0 may already be within our development system, and the similarities are simply too striking to ignore. To understand the magnitude of this, we first need to revisit the rise of the original Misiorowski. Remember, when we selected him in the second round of the 2022 draft out of a junior college, the skepticism was palpable. I remember the conversations with scouts and executives from other teams. They pointed to his past injuries, tendon issues, a meniscus surgery, and shook their heads. They looked at his mechanics, which at the time were described as inconsistent and even chaotic, and saw a huge risk. His slider, now a lethal weapon, was considered merely above average. There were doubts about whether he could maintain the consistency and command needed to be an elite MLB starter. Fast forward 3 years, and what do we see? A young man who not only silenced the skeptics, but has become a cornerstone of our rotation. A talent so evident he was named to the All-Star game after just a handful of major league starts. He is living proof of our development system's ability to polish raw diamonds. Now hold that image of Misiorowski in your minds, because the Brewers, in a move that feels like a strategic replay, may have found another gem with a frighteningly similar profile in our 2025 third-round draft pick, Jacob Morrison. The first similarity is physical and historical. Morrison, the 6'3" giant, just like Misiorowski, has had to overcome significant injury hurdles to get where he is. He underwent Tommy John surgery, one of the toughest ordeals for any pitcher. That resilience, that ability to come back stronger from serious adversity, is a mental trait our front office values immensely. It's the kind of fiber that separates the good from the great. But the comparisons go far beyond injury history. It's on the mound where the deja vu becomes real, and it starts with the fastball. My colleague Tyler Coerth of Fansided recently wrote a brilliant analysis on this comparison, and he nailed it. Coerth wrote, "The Brewers might be having a deja vu experience by drafting Jacob Morrison. When Misiorowski was drafted, scouts praised his fastball. At the time, it would touch 100 mph, but he consistently sat in the mid-90s, just as Morrison is currently. This is crucial. It's not just about the top-end velocity, but the cruising speed. Misiorowski had what scouts call elite spin on his fastball, a very high rotation rate that made it seem heavier and harder to square up. Furthermore, his extension, the distance he travels toward home plate before releasing the ball, was exceptional, which cut down the batter's reaction time and made his 95 mph fastball look like a 90 mph one. Now look at Morrison. Coerth continues. Morrison also has a great fastball, touching 95 mph with tremendous extension that enhances its perceived velocity. The similarity is remarkable, but Morrison has an extra trick up his sleeve. His differentiator is an exceptionally high release. Point! Because of his towering frame, he releases the ball from an angle that creates a steep downward trajectory. To a hitter, the ball looks like it's coming from the sky, making it extremely difficult to adjust their swing plane to make solid contact. It's a geometric advantage that can't be taught. And the secondary pitches? The story repeats itself. Misiorowski's slider, when he was drafted, had depth and potential, but his command was the big question mark. He struggled to land it for strikes consistently. And Morrison? Korth points out, a slider and a curveball are Morrison's off-speed pitches, but commanding them in the strike zone is still a work in progress. It's the same challenge, the same risk-reward profile. The mechanics also offer a fascinating point of comparison. Early critiques of Misiorowski focused on a chaotic delivery with a lot of moving parts, which created deception but also command issues. Morrison's delivery is described as more controlled, which is a positive for repeatability but also less fluid. This suggests there's room for refinement to optimize his kinetic chain and perhaps unlock even more velocity and command. Something our pitching lab, the famed Brewing Prowess Lab, specializes in. This is where the Brewers factor comes in. Our organization has become the gold standard in pitcher development. We take raw talents with elite tools and a few flaws and turn them into stars. They did it with Corbin Burns, with Freddie Peralta, and most recently with Misiorowski himself. They have the technology, the coaches, and the philosophy to take an athlete like Jacob Morrison, with his downward plane fastball, his developing secondary pitches, and his controllable mechanics, and maximize every ounce of his potential. Drafting Morrison doesn't feel like a coincidence. It feels like the continuation of a deliberate strategy. Find the best athletes with the most explosive tools and trust in our state-of-the-art system to refine the rest. Now, let's shift our focus from the distant future to the urgent present, from prospect development to the reality of the playoff race. While the seed of Jacob Morrison begins to germinate in our system, a much more immediate question hangs over Matt Arnold's front office: what to do before the trade deadline. Milwaukee's plan, as always, is kept under wraps, but my job is to analyze the possibilities, read between the lines, and tell you what I'm hearing. And what I'm hearing is that there's an opportunity to make a significant move, one that could solidify our offense for the stretch run. The question I'm putting on the table is, should the Brewers make a splash for a big-time bat? And there's a name being floated in the back channels that makes all the sense in the world for us: Ryan O'Hearn. Yes, the all-star first baseman from the Baltimore Orioles. Zachary D. Reimer of Bleacher Report recently identified him as a prime trade candidate, and I agree 100%. Let's break down the situation from Baltimore's perspective. The Orioles are in a fantastic position, but O'Hearn is a pending free agent at the end of the season. He's having a career year, which means his trade value is at its absolute peak for a team like Baltimore, which has an abundance of young talent ready to come up. Trading O'Hearn now would be the classic sell-high move. They can capitalize on his performance, get valuable prospects in return, and open up a spot for their next wave of talent. Reimer wrote, and I'll quote, "He's a potential free agent who has sell high written all over him." However, O'Hearn is in a free fall with an OPS of just .649 since May 28th. So if the O's don't trade him, it might just be because interest in him has dried up. This is where the analysis gets deep. Let's look at both sides of the O'Hearn coin. The upside is undeniable. Even with the recent slump, his 2025 season numbers are excellent. An .840 OPS, 11 home runs, and 34 RBIs. He was an all-star for a reason. He's a left-handed power bat, something our lineup can always use for better balance. He fills the most glaring need we have right now, which is the first base position. With Rhys Hoskins still out for another month plus and no definitive timeline for his return to full strength, the production at first base has been a black hole. Relying on internal stopgaps or lesser players is a risky bet when every win counts in the tight NL Central. Acquiring an all-star first baseman, even as a rental for a few months, makes all the tactical sense in the world. He's an instant massive upgrade. However, we can't ignore the red flag Reimer mentioned. The production drop-off since late May is real and concerning. A .649 OPS is the mark of a below-average player, not an all-star. So which Ryan O'Hearn would the Brewers be getting? The dominant hitter from the first half of the season, or the player who has struggled in recent weeks? My analysis based on conversations and looking at his underlying numbers suggests that while some regression was expected, his quality of contact, exit velocity, hard hit rate hasn't cratered as much as his results have. This indicates a dose of bad luck and potential fatigue. A change of scenery, a new playoff race might be exactly what he needs to find his rhythm again. And paradoxically, this recent slump could be a blessing in disguise for the Brewers. Why? Because it lowers the acquisition price. If he was still rocking a 950 OPS, the cost and prospects would be astronomical. His recent struggles might have made the price more palatable for a cautious GM like Matt Arnold. The urgency is heightened by the competition. A new report from Quinn Everts of Fansided has linked O'Hearn to the New York Yankees. That changes the game. The Yankees are notorious for being aggressive at the deadline and have the prospects to outbid almost anyone. If the Brewers are serious, they can't afford to wait. Inaction could mean watching O'Hearn put on pinstripes instead of blue and gold. O'Hearn's career, which started with the Kansas City Royals before his trade to Baltimore, is that of a player who has finally found his footing. At 31, he's in his prime. The fit for the Brew Crew is near perfect. A left-handed power bat, a short-term rental who doesn't block Hoskins' return, and an experienced player who can fortify the middle of our lineup. The risk lies in his recent performance, but the potential reward, solidifying the offense for an October run, is too great to ignore. So Brew Crew, let's put the pieces together and draw a bottom line. We are facing a pivotal moment that will not only define the rest of this season, but could also give us a glimpse into the future of our rotation. On one hand, we have the fascinating case of Jacob Morrison, the deja vu prospect who mirrors the rise of Jacob Misiorowski. On the other, the immediate, pragmatic need to reinforce our team for the playoff push with a name like Ryan O'Hearn. These are two battlefronts our front office must manage with surgical precision, and every decision carries immense weight. Let's start with my final verdict on the Morrison situation. The comparison to Misiorowski isn't just fleeting hype to create headlines. It's grounded in concrete, measurable parallels. Both are elite athletes from the junior college ranks with injury histories, explosive fastballs with deceptive characteristics, and secondary pitches that were, at the time of their drafting, a work in progress. To me, the drafting of Morrison is a testament to the confidence the Brewers have in their own development system. They aren't just drafting a pitcher, they're investing in a profile of athlete they know they can mold. The Brewing Prowess Lab is our secret weapon, the equalizer that turns risk into reward. My analysis is that this is a calculated, intelligent risk with an astronomical potential payoff. Jacob Morrison isn't just another name in our farm system. He's a high-priority project, a name every Brewers fan needs to start tracking closely. He represents the next wave, the continuation of our ace factory. Now to the heat of the moment, the trade for Ryan O'Hearn. My stance here is clear and direct. The need is undeniable, and the opportunity is now. The Brewers' offense, while having its strengths, has been inconsistent, and the absence of Rhys Hoskins has left a power and production vacuum at first base. Waiting and hoping that internal solutions will work is a strategy of hope, not a strategy to win a division. O'Hearn is the pragmatic solution. Yes, the recent slump is a legitimate concern. No one can guarantee he will return to his all-star form. However, as I said before, that slump may be the very key that makes a trade viable for us. It drives the price down. Instead of giving up a top-tier prospect, perhaps we can get a deal done for a package of mid-level players. For a team like ours that has to be smart with its resources, this is a golden opportunity. I believe the risk of O'Hearn continuing to slump is outweighed by the massive potential reward if he finds himself again. Imagine his left-handed bat in the middle of our lineup in September and October. He could be the piece that takes us from a good team to a dangerous playoff team. Matt Arnold and the front office need to be aggressive. Championship windows don't stay open forever. And now, for the most important part, I've given you the inside information, the deep dive analysis, my professional viewpoint. But this channel is a community. It's about us, the Brew Crew. So I turn the question over to you. What is your take? What does your fan gut tell you on Jacob Morrison? Are you excited by this Misiorowski clone prospect? Or does the injury history and command challenges make you cautious? Do you believe in our development machine to craft another ace? And on the trade deadline, is Ryan O'Hearn the missing piece for a deep postseason run, despite his recent slump? Or do you think the risk is too great and the Brewers should look elsewhere or trust the group we have? Leave your opinions, your arguments, your passion in the comments section below. I read every single one, and I want to know what the Brew Crew Nation is thinking. This is the kind of detailed, exclusive analysis you will only find here. Things are happening quickly, and you don't want to miss a single update. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join the most informed community of Brewers fans online. For rapid updates and deep dive analysis, this is your home. I'm your host, bringing you the latest Brewers news directly to you. I'll see you in the next video.